Okay, so we changed the scenery a little bit, and we're going to go over Wake Up now. And this is probably one of the questions I get asked the most as far as how to maintain pressure on the ground. Well, Leixia has a couple options that she can use. She was infinitely better pre-patch as far as Wake Up is concerned, but she's still pretty good at it now. So I'm going to show you some of the launcher combos that I did in the last part, and show you exactly what you want to follow up with. Now, if you hit the 3B combo, 3B into 1B creates an untechable knockdown. So what that means is the only way they can get up is if they stand up and block. They don't have a chance to really roll away. They don't have a chance to tech up to the side or roll back or anything like that. They have to get up standing or they have to stay on the ground. And Leixia has options that cover both. Now, in this position here, they're on the ground and Leixia is in crouch. Now, as I mentioned in episode 1, from crouch she's got straight up 50-50s that she can use as soon as your opponent stands up. Now, most of the time, they're not going to lie there on the ground. If they lie on the ground, full crouch 3B is free. And it's an extra 27 damage, tacked on, and they really don't want to eat that too many times. It doesn't matter which launcher you use. Full crouch 3B will hit them for lying on the ground. It is not, however, guaranteed if they stand up and block. But this is where your mix-ups come in. If they stand up and block, that's going to hit them low, and it's going to give you advantage. If they know that's coming, you can just relaunch them and reset the entire situation again. And if they keep ducking, you're pretty much going to get an endless loop until they realize they need to block standing, and then you get that. That's not the only option she has, but it's probably going to be the most common out of most of the combos. Now, full crouch 3B, 3B plus K. If you notice, they don't land too far away from you. Unless they air control themselves backwards, which is pretty much suicide in this game, especially concerning the ring edges and stuff like that. Pretty much, you can step forward, and even if they try to get up and roll or anything like that, you'll be right in their face, and then you can relaunch with 3B. If they get up right away, you can throw them. You can run in and sneak in a 2K. Instant while standing A plus B. Now keep in mind, in this particular example, because they get up faster than they did off the 1B, they can interrupt a lot of these follow-ups. Especially Leixia because she has Crybaby, but that's a character specific issue. If you do the follow-up, the flip, they can't lie there. They've got to roll, they've got to tech, they've got to do something. Now, in the case of them blocking it, it is perfectly safe. And 8 or 9 of these blocked, that flip, will crush the guard and allow you for combos. So it's not a bad idea to throw that in there once in a while just to test them to see, are they going to lie there? Are they going to try and roll and get hit by it? Or are they going to, stand up and block? She also has follow-ups after that, but I'm not really going to cover all of that in this particular part. That'll be in more of the tricks and setups for later on. But for now, just understand that you do have this option. Now, obviously, if it is blocked, you're at -6, so they can mix you up. However, she has a cancel. And since people are going to be expecting to get up and block quickly to avoid eating this on the ground, now you have a cancel, and you can go into throw mix-ups. You can go into instant while rising A plus B. You can go into some kind of a mid. You can sidestep. There's a lot of things you can do off of that cancel once they've learned to respect the flip kick. So that's certain things you can do. Now, let's say you knocked them down and you didn't use a launcher. Let's say you knocked them down with 4K. After 4K, 3B, if you do 1B and they tech, it will whiff. However, if they lie there, it'll still hit them on the ground. If they lie there and try to roll, that will track them. The only way they can get out of that is to tech. If it's blocked, you're still safe and you're in crouch and you have evasive options that, can beat out their retaliations. One of the best wake up moves that she has still is this move here. It will hit them on the ground. It will track them if they roll back. It will track them if they roll to the side. The only thing they can do is tech up. But even if they tech, if you just delay your input a little bit, you'll realign. And that move, even though it doesn't guard crush anymore, if they block 10 of them, their gauge is going to be in red alert, which means that anything else that you make them block is going to break their gauge. So, if you have no other ideas floating around as to what you want to do on the ground, 3-3-BB is your best option, especially if it's spaced out like that. There's a lot of follow-ups you can use to evade their next attack, and you're pretty much leaving yourself safe to most of the cast. If you know they're going to hesitate when they get up, instant while standing A+B. You can do things that really pound on their gauge. But for the most part, you want to use that. Or if they're rolling around a lot, you can 2K them, 2K them, 2K them, and then throw this out there when you're in crouch. There's a lot of things, a lot of situations where you can make them freeze up. There's also 3B. 3B also hits grounded. So knock them down, they lie there, 3B. And this will continue to hit them grounded. If they try to roll step with them, 3B. Eventually they're going to want to get up, and that's when you have the mix-ups and the throws. Her throw range is not very great, but because of the threat of this, because nobody wants to duck into this on Wake Up, you're going to get a lot of opportunities once you knock somebody down. They're going to stand up, and you're going to get that throw. And if they think you're going to throw and they duck prematurely, you get that. And even if they block it, it's really putting pressure on their gauge. One last thing. You have this mix-up here. Because the mid is natural combo, that's a viable mix-up on the ground. Now, that mix-up I just showed you, it's viable because of the mid option. The low option, 2-2K, it used to knock down, which gave her pretty much a vortex. But that was patched out, and now it just leaves them at neutral on hit. Which, while I could stand for it to be a little more frame advantage, it's not too bad to just throw in there because everyone now is going to be looking for the mid instead of the other way around like they did pre-patch. Now, because of that, you also got to take into account that sometimes people will like to get up and try to step to avoid the low, and as you can see, 2-2K slide A will catch them for a counter hit and still continue the combo anyway. So no matter what they do, they have to really kind of guess between either stepping or blocking low, which would cause them to eat 2-2K slide A, or they can just let themselves be hit by the low. And the low also will hit on the ground if they do nothing. They can roll out of it. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, they can roll out of it, but again, if they're rolling, then you have that. So, I guess you can get fancy and stuff later on if you know that they're that they like to stand up and block, and maybe throw in some 2B plus K gimmicks. And I really only say gimmicks because you can use them so many times before people catch on. But it's still pretty viable because if everyone's looking for this, or this, or this, then by the time they realize those moves didn't come out, 2B plus K will have already either hit them, which will give you combos, or they'll be forced to block it, which means that they're now at -11. But the general idea is to use those moves that I just showed you, and maybe experiment with other things in our move list to where you can find a ground pressure game that suits your style. So that about wraps that up for this installment. Stay tuned for part 3 of Learning Leixia when I go over the frame advantage and how to maintain pressure using her frames on block and on hit. This is Zero Effect from 8wayrun.com, and I'll see you guys later.